Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Culture Hour. My name is Shelley Smith, your host, and my cohort, Elizabeth Belize, is out on site, so we'll miss her dearly, and we'll catch her on the next taping. Don't forget to come back and plug in and find out more information about becoming a certified professional culture curator, or how to get engaged into the community around culture curators in conversation after the taping as well. So you can find all of this on YouTube, as well as Stitcher, as well as iTunes and Google. So without further ado, I'm very excited to give you an introduction to today's guest. Her name is Mary Abbajay. I just messed up your name. I said it right and then I messed it up. Abbajay.
No, you said it right the first time.
Abbajay, Abbajay. Abba like the band, Jay like the bird. Mary Abbajay. You got it, people? Mary is a best-selling author, and she is the president of Career Stone Group, and she is a consulting firm. So one of her latest books is Managing Up, and I'm sure she's going to tell you a little bit about that. So enough from hearing from me about Mary. Mary, why don't you give us a little bit of background and tell us how you got into the jam that you do today?
Oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you so much, Shelley. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I often get that question. So I got into this jam, like the consulting jam, because I have just been fascinated with people. I mean, by the way, I'm an introvert. I'm a Gemini, people. I'm an introvert. I'm 54 years old.
Wait. I'm a Gemini too. And so my alias is Tasha. And I am also an introvert. Wow, I never knew we had so much going on. Okay,
I know. I love that. I love
it. I'm 53.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I got 1 year on you. Yeah, you know, and so I'm sure people think you're an extrovert all the time because of the work that we do, but it's our Gemini twin that comes in.
Yeah.
You know, so I had a bunch of jobs, like didn't know what I wanted to do after college, right? Who does? And had some really great jobs, and then decided I was really fascinated by people. I even owned a bar for a while, and I was really fascinated by people. I didn't want to be part of the group, but I loved watching groups. And so that's when I started getting into consulting. And I also discovered I loved helping people be successful. So I started my first business when I was 29 with my sister. We opened up a bar, and then we opened up a nightclub, and we were super successful. And although I found that really boring, I loved helping people do their own thing, because everyone used to come to me and say, like, how did you do this? How can I do this? And that's where I thought, you know what, that's what I want to do. So I went back to school, got a master's. I've been doing organizational development and talent development for about 20 years now. And then the book came out of the Managing Up. It came out of kind of a desire to see people take more control of their career. So often I think we have a boss that isn't perfect for us. And so instead of trying to work it, we just let it kind of derail our career. So it really is a book I hope to help empower people to take control of that relationship. That's really important.
Okay. That's fantastic. I just learned so much about you in a short stint. I just can't stand it. So I can't wait to have a drink with you over the bar and have a deeper discussion.
Oh, you hate going to bars with me is terrible, because I expect really good service, and bartenders that can't handle like more than one or two orders at a time, they're dead to me. So you'll.
Oh my God.
I'm a high maintenance customer.
That is so funny. Oh goodness. Okay. All right. So let's pull back in. So you talked about talent, and you talked about the organizational structure or design. What are some common themes that you're seeing with your clients and or people that you're looking from a prospect standpoint? Are there some common themes that come out of your initial conversations with people?
Yeah, you know, I think that's a great question, and I will tell you, it's the same stuff it's always been. You know the old adage, we're just pouring new wine into old bottles. It's all we ever do, really. I mean, the same problems and challenges rise with every new client I have. I mean, they're a little bit different, but they're all the same. It's communication, it's personality differences, it's leaders who are. I had a conversation with a client the other day, and the leader is doing a big change. And she thinks that is communication, where it's actually her change management style or lack thereof. So it's things like that. It's personality, it's generations. It's really, to me, so much comes down to, at least in the world that I work in, you know, the ability of people to build good relationships, collaborate, and work together. And that's always a challenge. And I'm sure you see the same thing.
It is. And, you know, and it seems like the communication is something that's now it's a lost art, which is astounding to me. And I think it comes from all the different technology pieces and the need for speed, and that we're consuming and getting inputs and outputs just nonstop. So it's difficult to slow down. And when we realize that we need to slow down, we realize that we maybe burned bridges and or have just not communicated everything that's inside of our head. So what are some common tips that maybe you can share that are some tidbits from your book, or some things that you tell your clients when they get in that whirlwind and they just need to stop and better connect and be kind to people?
Oh, I love that. Well, I mean, that's it. So what I really like to talk about is, first of all, people have to take responsibility for their impact, right? We're
Yeah.
so often looking at other people, what they're not doing well enough, how they're working differently, how we need more from them, and we're judging their impact, but we're not really being self-aware about our impact on people. So the first thing I always talk about in almost anything I do is take responsibility for your impact. So I often use the example of introversion, extroversion, whereas, I'm an introvert, you're an introvert. I could walk by you every day and maybe just give you a nod and you'd be like, thank God, Mary's not going to talk to me. Phew, right? But if you're an extrovert and I do that same behavior, then the extrovert's going to think like, she's unfriendly and aloof and cold and I don't like her, right? So it's about moving away from the golden rule into the platinum rule, which is others how they want to be treated, right? So that's the first thing I talk about. The other thing I really want people to understand with managing up is that we all have to do it. And in America, we love to talk about leadership. We love to talk about leadership. I teach it, you teach it. It's a $14 billion business in America. And the truth is, leaders are still one of the top 3 reasons why people leave organizations. Leaders are still the top reason why cultures go toxic, right? So if we're going to talk about leadership, don't we also have to talk about followership? What's the other side of that equation? And so what I really want to do with managing up is help people understand that your relationship with your boss matters. Our bosses have a lot of influence over our career trajectory, over who we get to work with, the types of projects we get to go on. And if that relationship is important, then we need to manage it. We can't take a passive seat. We need to manage it. In order to manage it, we need to let go of expecting that boss to do for us, right? And we need to take control of that relationship. So that's really the main message. Don't be a career victim, be a career victor.
Yes, I love that. So what are some things that I've been in conversations with individuals where they feel like, well, gosh, this sounds like you're telling me to suck up to my boss. And I'm like, no, I'm not telling you to suck up to your boss. I'm telling you to inquire about what's going on in your boss's world in order to better understand how you can add value. So are there some things that that you share, right from the get-go, from conversations or the right kind of questions, or sort of how to get into the lane with the boss without coming across like a kiss up?
Yeah, so I love that you said that, because people often think it's sucking up. And I always say it's not sucking up. It's not about being a sycophant. Unless you work for a narcissist, then you'd have to do a little bit of that. I'm not going to lie, right? But for the most part, it's about managing the relationship. It's about using adaptive behavior so that you can build a robust relationship with someone with a different perspective, a different level of power, and different priorities than you. So it's really about relationship management. And so what I say to people is a couple of things. Number one, you have to take a really good, hard, honest, objective look at how your boss operates, right? What are their priorities? What are their preferences? Are they introvert? Are they extrovert? Do they like detail? Do they like big picture? Are they fast moving? Are they slow moving? Is their pace quickly? Are they a micromanager, a macro manager? You got to take a look at all of that. You have to take a look at what's the pressure your boss has? What's his experience? What's her worldview? And don't judge it. Just really say, gotta be like a detective. You're like, that's interesting. Because once we start judging, then we go into we get caught by a reptile brain. Our amygdala takes over and we don't get very strategic. And once you have a good picture of who your boss is, then you have to then take a good, honest look at who you are. What are your preferences? What are your priorities? What do you judge? How do you like to work? Are you introvert, extrovert, fast paced? And once you have an honest, and you don't want to judge yourself either, but you also want to be honest about yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to look at both. And you say, oh, my boss is like this. I am like this. We can't change other people, right? That boss isn't going to change. We could request a different behavior, but that's all we can do. So then it's up to us to decide, what can I do a little bit more of, a little bit less of, or a little bit differently in order to work better with my boss. For example, let's say your boss is an introvert, like myself. So as an introvert, I want to like give you information. I want to like do all these things. I want you to be in the know, but it's the last thing that occurs to me to do, right? Because I get all in my little introverted world and I think something, so I think I've told you, but I really haven't told you anything. And my team could either get really angry at that because, you know, I should tell them I am their boss. I should share that. Or they could be like, huh, that's who Mary is. So instead of being angry, I'm going to reach out to her. I'm going to schedule time with her. I'm going to ask her questions. So that's really what it is. Seeing what little things you can do differently, more of or less of, in order to really build that relationship, to get what you need, to get what they need, and to get what the organization needs.
No, I love that. Obviously, we didn't prep for the call in any way, shape, or form, and the viewers know that I don't do this. But and I know that you have assessments that you use. I use predictive index. It's that entire behavioral and cognitive scope, and I love it for every reason that you just deemed. And it doesn't matter what tool you're using. You need to use the tool in order to get that information, because you're right. It's about the platinum rule. And the other thing is, even though you're talking about managing up, I think it's important that the audience, the viewers, understand that this goes vertical and it goes horizontal. So this is peer-to-peer. This is also, it goes to your direct reports. You know, the point is, whomever is doing the asking is the person who has to set themselves on the shelf in order to go to the other person. Is that right?
That's exactly right. I totally love that. It really is about up, down, and across. And I love that you mentioned like the PDI. So I think, like you, any tool is a great entry. Like, so we'll use the DISC or Myers-Briggs, or we'll do social styles, or whatever the tool is. It's just a great framework for really understanding how people are different and what people's preferences are, and for inquiring. And the key with that is, you know, and that's why I love using these tools as part of a team building or a staff conversation, because for people to really not forget it, to not do it once and put that report on the shelf, but to really bring it to life with their teammates. And so what I see often when I do the workshops or the presentations on managing up is that the managers in the room will start to think, you know, they're thinking about who they're managing up to. And then they'll start to think, oh my God, am I one of these bosses, and am I making it easy for my team to manage up to me? So one of my clients at Delta Dental, they now give the book to every new person, and the managers have conversations with them about the book. And they just use it as a starting point, as a jumping off point. So
no, that's beautiful, because that's what it comes down to, is real life conversations and relationships. And it's amazing how, when difficult times happen, when you have rapport and trust with your team, how less difficult the time is, because you built that rapport.
That's right.
So
I think that's totally correct.
So our time has gone by fast. I can tell that we can keep talking. We may have to have you back on to take a deeper dive into your book. But first of all, how can people best get a hold of you?
Well, I'm old school, so I do like my email, which is mary@careerstonegroup.com. But you can find me on Twitter at Mary Abbajay, LinkedIn at Mary Abbajay, Facebook at Mary Abbajay. I tried to make it really simple for everybody. You can find the book's website at managingupthebook.com, or just go to Amazon. I think I'm pretty easy to find, or just Google me, GTS it, Google that stuff. I'm the only Mary Abbajay there is, so there you go.
Yeah, I love your last name, even though I I overcomplicated what was the blatantly obvious in the pronunciation. I mean,
everybody does.
So yeah. So what are some final tips or thoughts, or maybe you have a favorite author other than yourself that you like to read that you would want to recommend? So any final like wrap up or tidbit to our viewers?
I think, you know, really my big thing is I want people to take responsibility for their work lives and for making them better. If you're going to spend most of your waking hours at work, they should be the best waking hours. So if you're in a situation that doesn't work for you, try to make it work. And if it doesn't, then don't be a fool about it. Find a situation that does work for you. Really take ownership of your work life, your career. Sometimes you got to not suck up, but suck it up, right? In order to get what you need. But taking the long view, I think that's really good. And my book recommendation, I have two.
Okay.
One is one I love. Well, no, I have three, because this is the first one. And by the way, when you become an author, you become a shameless self-promoter. I know. I hate myself, right? But two books I'm really digging lately. One is Thanks for the feedback, even though it's wrong, stupid, and quite frankly, I'm not in the mood. It's by Sheila Heen. I keep forgetting it's over on my shelf where I got it, but I'm connected. It's by the people that wrote the Harvard Negotiation Project.
Okay,
I'm so sick of teaching people how to give feedback. We're going to teach people how to receive feedback instead.
No, beautiful.
And then the second book I'm reading right now is Tasha Urich's Insight. Which is all about like my jam around understanding your impact, and self-awareness means nothing unless you are aware about how you're impacting other people. So those are my two.
Love. Thank you so much for sharing. Love, 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 love. Well, I will put your information as people are seeing this down below as well on the recorded version. And we thank you so much for being a guest today. I look forward to seeing you in the future present your Managing Up live with one of my favorite clients. So I appreciate that as well. And for those listening, this is another episode of the Culture Hour. If you've got a guest that you want me to interview, or if you've got a question or a thought you want me to expand on, or if there's something that you want to see Elizabeth and I really go at it from a yin or a yang, you know how to hit us up. We're on every social platform known to man, and probably a few we haven't even invented yet. My name is Shelley Smith, and remember, culture matters and it starts with people. Until next time, have a great day.